It's finally happening, okay? My boy Shuu finally knows the truth. And that final panel, seeing him stroke the photo of Sasaki, tears running down his face, dude, the feels, the emotions, the weight of what this moment means and how pivotal it is. He can't even talk properly, dude. He's like, Kanye, give me the details. And he's just overwhelmed. This marks the resurgence of the Shuu that we know and love. And also, you know, is the moment that this shell of a man, this broken individual that we've seen throughout Urie and the last chapter of part 1 is gone. This marks Shuu coming back to the spotlight, and I can't wait to see what moves he makes. And I'm under no false impression or false notion that we're just gonna go back to the happy-go-lucky, eccentric, and unpredictable, quirky Shuu that we all love. That's just not possible. He's definitely going to go back to that to a degree after he makes whatever moves he has to make and is reunited with Sasaki, and we'll see how that encounter actually plays out. I don't know what Shuu's moves are actually going to be, if it's going to be him just getting himself back on his feet, if he's going to instantly try and go after Sasaki, and in what manner he's going to approach him. It's all up in the air for me right now. But all we know, like Chie said, is that the man is now on his feet. His energy is back. He's been revitalized because the reason for him being broken has been repaired. His mind was shattered by the very thought that the one thing that meant most to him in life was dead. Kaneki was his world, dude. It's like the fucking moon without the earth, alright? It's back for him. And this is one of the reasons, this chapter, if nothing else, aside from that, and I'll get back into it later when we go in depth, but it showcases to me that out of Chie and Kanie, just as a blank character in and of itself, I love Chie, and she's a far more dedicated, loyal, and amazing Shuu fanboy than Kanie. Like, from one Shuu fanboy to another, I can honestly say her rationale for wanting to be with him, her respect for his wishes, Kanie is wrapped up in Shuu's, in the ideal he has of Shuu. He's utterly wrapped up in it. And you see him making those moves. It's been the beginning of this arc has had a heavy part in him, you know, seeing him develop and reconfirming that at the end of the day, despite his commitment to the Tsukiyama family, despite his own personal ideals and what he thinks, you know, Shuu should be, he wants to help the person that he loves the most, which is Shuu. Okay, no matter what he has to do, no matter the fact that he's disgusted that he has to turn to Chie, to this little mouse that he thinks has no merit and that she believes has no right to look upon the majesty that is Shuu in the first place, even if it means letting the man know that Sasaki is Kaneki and that he's alive, because for him that's painful. He doesn't appreciate, he detests Shuu's obsession with Kaneki. You can see that in him. You've seen it in him since the beginning, and his constant dialogue about how troublesome Sasaki is, how troublesome Chie is, etc., etc. It's like he wants to hoard the ideal of Tsukiyama, and that's one of the biggest reasons I fucking hate him. As a character, and how Ishida's developing him and writing him, he's strong. And that's on Ishida and how masterful he is with the series, with the character development, with the foreshadowing, with the symbolism across the board. It's that Tokyo Ghoul greatness. But in terms of my enjoyment of him, and me actually liking him, I just can't realize that he fucking sucks. He's a shitty, you know, failed kind of miniature version of Shuu that just fanboys over the ideal of him, and I can't take that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's dive into the chapter. Tokyo Ghoul Urie, chapter 37. I just don't know why it took so long. Remember during my chapter 35 review when Shuu was just going berserk, I'm like, this is looking bad. Why can't you people just fucking tell him? Just tell him. And I'm just like, are you serious? And this chapter also proves that Chie knows Tsukiyama more than Kanie, because Kanie's like, I thought of that. Are you kidding me? That's not gonna get the man back on his feet. I'm like, are you fucking retarded right now? Of course that's what's gonna get him back on his feet. That's what put him in this bed in the first place. I digress. I'm done hating on Kanie. I'm done fanboying over the fact that Shuu is finally, you know, coming back. And we'll talk more about how much I love Chie and her resolve and everything like that. But let's just start from chapter 1. This chapter is very straightforward. You know, there are certain points I want to talk about, but in terms of the first portion of the chapter with, you know, BUJIN talking to Yorico, you know, Kuroiwa, and them in the bakery at Shirazo and Psycho, it pretty much played out the way that I thought. You know, they were childhood friends. I said that it was either that, they were lovers, or, you know, I don't know how else they could possibly know each other. Turns out I was correct. They were childhood friends. The only reason I said that it could potentially be wrong is the fact that they were addressing each other so formally. So I was like, maybe that's not the case, but that was my first instinct. And it turns out to be good. I love the dialogue because we get insight into Yorico and what she's trying to do right now, and it definitely aligns with the promise that she made to Toka back in the day, but I'll get to that in a second. I love the first fucking page and the first couple panels. We're just seeing like Shirazu and Psycho chow down on the food and shit like that, and then they're basically updating each other, you know, Bujin and Yorico, about the other one's lives, basically. You know, she's like, he's always been like this, you know, he's been incredibly athletic, and we know this, man. He's one of that rare 0.01% that can snap a ghoul's neck barehanded, alright? So it's that Bujin god sauce. We already know. But you see him in the relay, how Yorico looked up to him because he didn't, you know, he wasn't disappointed in her, and he brought them back and everything like that. I'm just like, as the anchor, it reminded me of that straight up, like, no lie, if you guys are watching, you know, Arima Monogatari, it just reminded me of that last episode with Goda and everything like that. But I digress. It was nice to see that, showcasing that, yes, they are in fact, you know, childhood friends and everything like that. And she finds out that, you know, he's now a rank 1 and everything like that, and she's proud of him and everything. We find out that she's actually changed from wanting to just be a straight-up chef to, you know, wanting to work in baking. And that correlates to the promise she made to Toka, where she's like, one day, you know, because Toka was like, I would love to have my own coffee shop one day, which one day is already today because she has reads. This was back when Anteku was still alive and everything like that. And she was like, I want to work for you in that shop. And it seems like this is progression towards that, but Ishida does nothing half-assed. Everything is important, and this interaction, this reestablishing of the relationship between Yorico and Bujin is definitely going to come up later on with in multiple ways. I can see it coming up in multiple ways, but just it needs to be kept in mind and established. There's no need to dive into it this early because I don't think it's going to crop up as a thing right now in this arc at the very least. It's just laying the groundwork that like Ishida normally does, and I'm hyped. I'm just happy to see Yorico back and how fucking sexy she is, and the whole dynamic between her and Bujin. Yo, I ship it. I ship Bujin X Yorico. That'd be dope. But anyway, I digress. Then this next chunk of the chapter, I was just like, disgusting. The only thing that made it okay for me is because we get a nice chunk of information drop right here that Ishida wants to give us through this shit. You just see the fuckboy himself, Urie, doing some intense benching, some intense weight training and whatnot. He's like, this is it because of the accelerated healing, you know, my muscles, I'll destroy them and rebuild them faster than ever, I'll get stronger. And I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. But at the same time, and his face looks disgusting. I hate the man. But ultimately, he's looking more ripped than he was before. He's bulking up, he's getting stronger. I still, no matter what, until Mutsuki somehow redeems this man, because I still can get behind the Mutsuki as Urie ship if she changes him. But it's fuckboy Urie, dude. You guys have been hearing me say this since the very beginning of Re, since I've been doing these reviews, and I'm not gonna stop until I see some. This is just that same shit. But I love how we get this information that basically the kakuhou and basically expanding the RC pathways through the kakuhou, because that's how the RC cells flow, and he's talking to the doctor about this. It actually allows, you know, Quinkies and half ghouls and ghouls in general to get stronger. And they reference Sasaki and all the damage that the man's taken. If you look at that X-ray, it's fucking beast, because you can see, you know, how the RC pathways have kind of developed in those white splotches. You see a shit ton concentrated in the man's head from those piercings from Arima, the fucking whole portion of his body that was ripped out by Amon and everything like that. And it tells you how, you know, it's almost like that Saiyan shit, just straight up. Like, after a battle, surviving a near-death experience, they get stronger. The RC pathways expand as it the kakuhou is used to repair the damages, and it actually makes ghouls stronger overall. You know, Quinkies and half ghouls in particular is what this man is saying. And basically the sum of this is the more you get hurt, the stronger you become. Just some straight up Saiyan Vegeta ideology. Shit's beast. I like that exposition. It's good to know. And it also gives a lot of characterization to how, you know, aside from, you know, Kaneki getting the centipede power-ups and, you know, becoming half Kakuja and everything like that, his combat ability continued to increase. And we knew the man was training everything like that, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on, because I still have a lot I want to get to, right? Love the dialogue between Juuzo and Mutsuki and everything like that. And I'm glad Mutsuki brings this up again. But before I get into that, yo, Juuzo with the fucking, with the ponytail and shit like that. Yo, he's looking beast with the hairstyle. No homo. The man's looking dope. I love my boy Juuzo. And he's looking beast, right? But I'm glad that Mutsuki brings up in this dialogue, you know, what Uta said. And they're like, yo, what No Face said is still bothering me. The operation failed. Help won't come. And I still remember that to this day when he said it to her. I'm like, yo, what does that mean? And they're thinking, you know, how we still don't know how they collect information, everything like that. But if we track down those information routes and how he knew that in the first place, we can get a lead on the clowns, and not only that, we can get a lead on Aogiri by finding out how they are tied together. And we saw a little bit of cooperation, whether, you know, Aogiri was just straight up using the clowns in that last instance, or if there was legit cooperation because Triple Blaze mentions it and everything like that, then it's going to be fucking interesting to see how that all comes together. But I like this setup and everything like that. We get some brief dialogue about Sasaki being an instructor and why, you know, Mitsuki calls him Mr. Sasaki in public and informally and everything like that, and how he was a lecturer and shit like that. Juuzo's never been a lecturer because simply Juuzo's not the teaching type. We all know this, but that's neither here nor there, right? Let's get to this part of the chapter with Sasaki, you know, leaving the fucking academy. And he's talking about how lively the second academy is and everything like that. The unique potential talent, you know, the first academy has many star students and everything like that. So I wonder if that's hinting at the future and any potential beast fucking prodigies coming out of the academy down the line. But what's interesting about this shit is that we meet Tokage, and it's almost like Ishida is straight up like coming off of last chapter, because I was theory crafting and a lot of you corrected me and were like, it can't be, you know, Shiki that tortured Yamori simply because of the lower half of the face and everything like that. And I was like, maybe that's not a big enough reason. Until I'm dispelled, I'm gonna still say that's potentially a thing. But this, it's like Ishida's like, no, I don't want anybody getting confused. This is the man right here that tortured Yamori, that, you know, framed Juuzo for these tortures. And clearly it shows that he had some sort of incident with Mitsuki as well in the past. And it says that he's a second academy professor, specializes in combat. It says nothing more than that. We don't know what rank he was prior to him, you know, when he wasn't, you know, an interrogator in Kokuya, what rank he was when he was just serving and not in the academy. To me, he seems like a very small man. Like, I'm not concerned with the man's potential as a threat or anything like that. He's a small man whose actions rippled out into large consequences that shape this series, though. Because he is the one that made Yamori what he was as Jason. And in turn, Jason made Kaneki what he was as he transformed into White Hair Kaneki and that torture. And it's almost like this man, Tokage, is, you know, White Hair Kaneki's kind of spiritual grandfather in a sense. And you can see Sasaki as he's talking about, he's like, something feels off about this man. He can sense it. And I love that fucking Yamori panel that they have on that one page, dude, where it's just showcasing that this is in fact the guy that tortured him, and you see him do the fucking same iconic finger crack and everything like that. He's like, I sense something, you know, dark emanating from Tokage, and definitely set up for the future where, you know, when Kaneki comes back, if he recalls, I'm going to be interested to see how the personas merge, because with all the setup we've gotten through Urie at this point, if the personas merge, or Kaneki just returns and supersedes Sasaki, and yet he's able to retain all of Sasaki's memories, a bunch of ripple shit is going to go down from certain small interactions like these in this first half of the read. So, anyway, let's get into it. Then we have the dialogue between Chie and Kanie, which leads us into that ending, which I was spending the first half of the review talking about. Kanye and these fucking shades, I don't even know why he's trying to, nobody knows who the fuck you are, bro. What are you wearing the shades for, man? But anyway, I digress. The man's like, are you messing with me? That's something even I could come up with. There's no way something like that would get him back on his feet. I'm just like, the stupidity. The man's blinded by the ideal. He's a fucking retard. All you had to do was tell him about this long ago, and he would have been straight already. Okay, he would have been on the road to recovery already. But I digress. I've loved Chie since her introduction, right? But this makes her just, I'm utterly in love with her. She's one of my favorite just straight up human characters at this stage, because she's like, not doing something after coming up with it is the same as just not coming up with it. And I'm like, yo, she's just right there. She starts exposing Kanye. She's like, you know why Tsukiyama ended up like that, right? What caused the change? Tell me. Kaneki Ken's death. To solve a problem, you have to get rid of the cause. Just done. That's the easiest way to solve a problem. It's just, this is a high-risk gamble. And this is the only reason. Seeing Chie's mentality and why she didn't want to tell Shuu in the first place is simply because she's afraid of his reaction. And whatever his reaction is, she says she's going to respect it. And that's what makes me love her in one sense. But we'll get to her dialogue in a second that really makes me love her, right? But she's like, didn't I tell you the Tsukiyama family might disappear? When Tsukiyama first tracked Kaneki, you know, and was obsessed with him, he was just a half ghoul that was being hunted down by the CCG as well. It's less of a concern for them. Now that he's a fucking investigator, whatever Tsukiyama's actions are, if Shuu decides to straight up attack him, or, you know, attack the Qs, for example, to get to him, or anybody else, it's gonna be a problem. And that could put the Tsukiyama family in you know, the spotlight. And Master Mirumo, at the very least, I know is gonna want to keep Shuu back from this now that he's on the stage and has a hand in it and whatnot. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, I'll cooperate with you so that it goes well. Tsukiyama has a lot of energy after all. We don't know what might happen, right? Blah blah, this dialogue and whatnot. What an irresponsible little mouse. Like, it's just dialogue like this. Why are you that concerned with Master Shuu? And this response is what makes me just love her. Why she exposes Kanie and why she's so much better than Kanie as a character. Despite how I might seem, I'm really scared about dying. It's hard to think I'll disappear forever. So at the least, I want to die when I'm content about dying. So that's why I want to fill my time with fun things. Tsukiyama's a lot of fun, isn't he? That must be why. I love her. I fucking love her. That rationale, that mentality, you just cheer for the fucking win. Just done. I don't know if you guys don't understand. I might elaborate on it further, you know, in the future, but for now, that's it. The review's getting long as it is. And even Kanie has to admit, he's like, even a self-absorbed small creature like you, which, once again, this dialogue just, I'm just like, who the fuck are you, Kanie? Shut the fuck up. Can see and appreciate Master Shuu's attractiveness. That's why it's frightening. And she gives him the envelopes. I'm wondering what the photos are in the other envelopes that weren't photo 1. Are they like variants of that? Is it still all Sasaki? Is there other information in there? I'm wondering. We'll see. But basically, she gives him album number 1 anyway. And I love the fact that she's just like, whatever happens, you will respect Tsukiyama's will. And whatever happens, I'm going to respect Tsukiyama's will. I want to see what moves my boy Shuu is about to finally be making. The man's been straight up pinned down, weighed down, broken, destroyed, you know, emaciated, weakened by the devastation that was his most loved and prized thing in the world, Kaneki. And knowing that he's back now, I just can't wait to see where the character of Shuu goes. It's going to be fucking amazing. I don't want to think about it. I just want to see it in action. So I'm hyped for next chapter. Let's go. Still want to see Uta get the cues, their masks and everything set up, and see how this arc starts to unfold on a broader scale. But this chapter, a lot of setup. The biggest things for me, the biggest takeaways were, of course, this ending. The fact that I love Chie at this point. The BUJIN Yoriko setup for sure. Even though fuckboy Urie doesn't matter to me, that context that we get about the RC pathways is very important going forward. And, of course, this setup with this dude, Tokage, being, you know, Jason's, the actual investigator. See, let me, real quick before I end the review, let me just go back to my Shiki theory crafting. Yes, we can cross him off as being that person. I still had more theories, though. I said this. First of all, we're not discarding the V link, okay? No matter what, I still think he could be part of Organization V. And I'm going to hold on to that until it's dispelled, just straight up. Also, with the fact that he was an interrogator in Koklia, fine he wasn't the one that tortured Jason, fine he's not the one that, you know, set up Juuzo and Tokage takes the rap for this, and that's going to be its own pathway, but at the very least, I see a link between him and Danato, especially if he's in V, then that could mean that Danato is in V, and that's how Donato's been getting his information, you know, the priest, if you guys don't remember his name like that, but I see a link there, for sure. So, those are my theories concerning Shiki at this stage anyway. Let me know your thoughts on this beautiful chapter of Shuu learning the truth. And I'm out. Peace.